And the hush fell over the crowd.
Hi there. Good evening, everyone. And welcome to the Raucous Caucus. I'm Claudia Hansen-Thiem. I am one of the, line in the front. I'm a founding member of the Boulder Progressives, and I want to thank you for joining us tonight for this first chance to see potential candidates for Boulder City Council and for mayor on the stage together. Boulder Progressives is a grassroots group that advocates for policies that protect human rights and advance social and environmental justice here at the local level. And so we bleed for housing, for climate action, for racial equity, and for a strong public sphere. And we have always believed that local politics should be open, inclusive, and fun. So the Raucous Caucus is our way of getting more people involved in the early stages of our local elections, and also to give some new voices in our community a path around some of our established gatekeepers. We see our Boulder elections as a community effort, and so if you're inspired by anyone that you hear or meet tonight, please do stay tuned for ways to help out for the fall elections. We're gonna need you, okay? So you're going to get to meet the potential candidates here in just a moment, but first I want to introduce you to our MC for this evening. Jill Grano. I'll say that again. Jill Grano is a housing professional and advocate who was elected to Boulder City Council in 2017. She served part of her term and then joined Congressman Joe Neguse as the Director of Community Affairs for his office. And after that, she was interim Senior Director of Policy Programs for the Boulder Chamber. Jill is currently a graduate student in Human Geography at CU Boulder, where she's also a research associate for the Boulder Affordable Housing Research Initiative. Jill is also on the board of Boulder Housing Partners, and she chaired the successful Yes on 2E People for Voter Turnout campaign last year. And I see these as just the highlights here of her bio. I first met Jill in 2017 in the basement of one of Boulder's housing cooperatives, where we were talking about how to make it easier for people to share housing. And that's still an issue that we're working on here in Boulder today. I was completely new at that time to local politics, but what struck me about Jill then is, first of all, she was super accessible, and second of all, that she really had this clarity about why we were doing what we were doing and why the things we were working on mattered. And she said at that time something I've remembered since then. She said, humans are just hardwired to live in community. And she just got that. And more importantly, she helped me to get it as someone kind of new on this scene, to really get me out of the weeds and focused on the big picture. And I leave most conversations with Jill feeling this way, kind of reminded of that big picture and the values that we are fighting for together. And I think that makes her a great person to guide us in a conversation about the really big issues here in Boulder. And that's how we can live together better, and what we can expect from the people that we empower to lead in this community. So Jill Grano, welcome, and thank you for leading us through the 2023 Raucous Caucus.
You are too kind. All I was really expecting was Jill barely made it a year on city council before completely failing, because it is a tough job. You all are cray. But with that, thank you so much for putting yourselves out here, for being here. Raucous Caucus is the kickoff to the 2023 election season. Before we get started, we've got a ton of elected officials here in the room. Will you just raise your hand if you're one of our elected officials? Hi, raise them high. Everybody look around. Okay, heckle those people later. Tell them all your problems. All right, this is a special year. First of all, we are about to move to even year elections, which means that voter turnout is about to almost double for city council elections. So these folks are only going to be elected to 3-year terms for the first time ever. Another unique, Another unique part about this year is that it's our first ever publicly elected mayoral race, and we'll get into that in a minute. first, it's important to know, these are our city council candidates are running for 4 open seats, and our mayor candidates are running for 1 open seat. These are not yet official candidates. They will be in the future. And so just keep that in mind. All right, with that, here we go. Ranked choice voting is the first time we're ever going to experience that. It's really a complicated system, but it's also a great one. So to help understand it, we've put together a little video. Eric's going to play, and our very own Jane Hummer is going to help guide us through that.
So what is ranked choice voting? In most parts of the United States, voters select a single candidate for each position on their ballot, and the candidate with the most votes wins. This is known as single choice winner take all, which can sometimes result in the election of a candidate who earned only a small percentage of the vote, even when the majority of voters supported other candidates. But that's not the only way of electing our leaders. Ranked choice voting is another voting method which allows voters to rank their candidates in order of preference. In a ranked choice voting election, a candidate needs to earn more than half of the votes to win. All first choices are counted, and if a candidate has a majority, then they win, just like any other election. If not, the candidate with the fewest votes is eliminated, and voters who picked that candidate as number 1 will have their votes count for their next choice. This process continues until a candidate earns a majority and is declared the winner. Let's look at an example. Here, you select orange as your first choice candidate, yellow as your second, pink as your third, and green as your final choice. The first choices are counted. Yellow earned 35%, orange 21%, pink earned 28%, and green earned 16% of the vote. Because nobody won more than 50%, the candidate with the fewest votes is eliminated, and voters who picked him as their first choice have their ballots count for their second choice. This continues until a candidate receives more than half of the votes, or 50% plus 1. So what are some of the benefits of ranked choice voting? Ranked choice voting provides more choices, allowing more than 2 candidates to compete without fear of splitting the vote among like-minded individuals. Sometimes voters feel pressured to vote for the lesser of 2 evils. Ranked choice voting allows people to vote for their favorite candidate, not just against the candidates they dislike. With ranked choice voting, we see more positive campaigns and less negative advertising. Candidates are encouraged to reach out to as many voters as possible, including those supporting their opponents. They can build a winning coalition with like-minded candidates to earn voters' second and third choices. It's time to fix our democracy and make our elections work better for everybody. We can do that with ranked choice voting. Visit www.fairvote.org to find out how you can get involved.
Okay, just to clarify, we didn't make that video. I don't want any copyright infringement lawsuits or anything. The good people at fairvote.org made this video. So we're gonna give a quick little try of ranked choice voting here today. There are handouts taped to the back of your chairs. There's a couple you should have to share with your neighbors. And there's QR codes, scan them with your phone, and give it a shot. We're just going to take a couple minutes to do this little interactive demo. And the question you're voting on is, what policies do you want prioritized next year by Boulder City Council? So are you all scanning your QR codes? So rank your policies in the order of your preference, starting with number 1. You don't have to rank everything, and you probably don't want to. Don't skip any numbers. And we'll close the voting in about 5 minutes, and we'll share the results at the end of the evening. And for virtual participants, if you're on the Boulder Progressives website, just scroll down and there's both a QR code if you want to scan that with your phone or a link to the vote. So take a few minutes to vote, And Boulder Progressives is going to do a little bit more education around ranked choice voting over the course of the campaign season. And while we're finishing up voting, you'll also notice, and you may have accidentally scanned some QR codes for donations to Boulder Progressives. So you can go ahead and make a donation if you want.
Yes, maybe. Of course, everyone, well.
Yes, there's also a Elks Wi-Fi, no password needed if you're not getting connection. So join the Elks Wi-Fi network. And just to reiterate, you don't have to vote for everything, but you do have to vote in sequential order, 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't skip any numbers or you will get an error message.
And that's an important point. With ranked choice voting, you do not have to go all the way down the line. You could just vote for your top 1 choice if that's all you have. You could vote for your top 2 choices if that's all you have. Or you could go down the line and vote for 3. That little exercise demonstrates that really this election is all about you. It's going to be your votes that matter. Thank you so much for showing up tonight. All right, let's get to know these people. We're going to give you 60 seconds each to tell us what's your name and what motivated you to run for either mayor or city council. We're going to start with our mayor candidates and go from Aaron just down the line. 60 seconds, you'll have cues.
Sorry, a little blood sugar after. Okay, good afternoon, Raucous Caucusers. Hello. And I don't seem to have power. Hello.
Yep.
Start over again. Good afternoon, Raucous Caucusers. So good to see you all. Buenas tardes y bienvenidas a todos. So my name is Aaron Brockett. I've been on the city council for almost 8 years and mayor for the last 1.5 years. And in that time, I have striven hard to improve our access to attainable and affordable housing, to support our nonprofit communities, our social services, our arts and cultures organizations, our thriving business community and small businesses, and promote social justice and a more equitable society. And I'm running right now because there is so much work left to be done. We see it in our community all the time. The needs are great. People are suffering. They need our help. But I know, and I am confident that when we all work together, when I work with all of you and your input and our collaboration, we can make Boulder the just, equitable, and accessible place that it deserves to be for its residents and citizens. Thanks so much for being here tonight.
Good job, Aaron. Kick this off. My name is Bob Yates, and like Aaron, I've been on city council for 8 years. And what motivated me to come here tonight is I heard there was going to be piñatas. I don't see them anymore. I have had the privilege of serving the Boulder community for the last 8 years. I retired from work a few years ago with the intention of serving our community, and that's what I've had the privilege of doing for the last 8 years. I want to continue to serve our community. Aaron did a great job of rattling through all the great things we've accomplished. Over 350 council meetings Aaron and I have served together. And I think we all want to continue to serve our community. We have a lot of needs. Boulder is a really, really great place, but our best days are ahead of us, and I think we want to work together to achieve that greatness. Thank you.
Thank you all for being here tonight, and thank you so much for everybody who brought us together. My name is Nicole Spear, and I'm a champion of the people. I'm a queer woman, I'm a scientist, I'm a parent, and I'm a union worker at the University of Colorado. I'm the daughter of an immigrant and a veteran, and I've been leading change my whole life, in sports teams, in faith communities, in nonprofits, and now in elected office. My core leadership value is inclusion, making sure many different voices are part of the decision-making process, especially the voices our organizations often exclude. Because when everyone feels safe and connected to the community, we all win. This is the first time Boulder will vote for a mayor, and it's a big deal. I'm planning to run for mayor so you can dream big about Boulder's future. You deserve the choice to elect a bold, inclusive mayor who will bring a fresh, modern perspective to city leadership and ground her decisions in evidence so we can stay focused on being more sustainable, equitable, and resilient. Thank you so much.
Hey everyone, my name is Aaron Gabriel Nair. I'm running for Boulder City Council because I really want to help, and I think that I have the skills to do so. For me, I think what we need more than anything is really meaningful, inclusive, and engaging dialogue. And I think to do that, we really need to, like Nicole said, make sure that we're including more voices in the conversation. Right? Homelessness is a huge issue, and I think that means we need to actually talk to people who are unhoused and ask what they actually need, rather than just trying to make them the problem all the time. I think that applies to so many different areas that we really need to include more people in the conversation. And I think there's just so many brilliant people in Boulder who have really beautiful ideas about how to bring forward real solutions. And I think we need to start utilizing that better and inviting more voices into the conversation. So for me, it really comes down to more effective dialogue, and I'm running for Boulder City Council to help be a part of that. Thank you so much.
I'm short, so I'm standing up here. I need all the height I can get. This is definitely the most fun forum. In fact, it's the only fun forum, I promise you, I've been told. I've been on city council since November of 2021, and I'm running for re-election. For those that don't know me, I have 3 daughters aged 29 through 34. I have 3 granddaughters who I babysit a lot. I have a daughter who I have a business with, and in my spare time, I do that business, which I don't have any spare time, so just FYI. Enough about me, we're here about you. My proudest moments on city council have been improving e-bikes and open space in east of Broadway, which I got a surprising amount of pushback. And I would say green lighting more ADUs, also a surprising amount of pushback. Our CAN, Core Arterial Network, and our gun and violence prevention ordinances. There is a lot of work to be done. You're right, Erin. That's why I'm running again. I look forward to discussing as the night goes on how I view the issues and how I hope to move us forward. Thanks.
What did I do wrong?
Good evening. My name is Taisha Adams. I use she, her pronouns, and I have had the privilege and the honor of living in Boulder for 11 years. I am motivated by this opportunity because I believe this moment is pregnant with possibilities. I believe that we can and must find pathways to balance people and planet. I'm just about to roll off my Colorado Parks and Wildlife Service on their commission as the first African-American woman to serve. We just finished our Wolf Plan. I believe in community-led and community-driven local government, actually government, period. And again, in that Wolf Plan, listening to a variety of stakeholder groups, because this is the team. If I could kick some people off the team, especially those who hate me and don't want me to exist, I would. But I can't, because this is the team. So I'll be there. I'm always willing, always open. And lastly, I believe in liberty and justice for all. Ultimately, it's always been about we the people. Thank you.
That's a tough act to follow just because of those hot shoes that Taisha has on. My name is Jenny Robbins, and thank you to the Boulder Progressives for having me tonight. I've lived in Colorado for 7 years. I've lived in Boulder for 5. I have 2 daughters who are 10 and 13 years old. They both attend BVSD public schools. My husband and I moved to Boulder so our daughters could have a good education and a safe place to grow up. We both work full-time to provide them with all the opportunities that this beautiful city and state has to offer. My professional background is in community activism, contract negotiation, land use, and zoning. I'm a supporter of the arts and small business. I'm an advocate for affordable housing, safety, and local environmental sustainability. But above all, I'm a mom who wants to make the city a better place for my family and for yours. I believe that parents and children need less obstacles and more opportunities for assistance and care. The city needs to do a better job of providing these opportunities for family and children. The youth are a vulnerable part of our population and need more support. Thank you.
I'll observe the Tara Weiner rule and say her name out loud by standing down here because I'm tall. My name is Waylon Lewis. I grew up here. I could see around 2008 or whenever Brad Feld and company moved here, that it was going to become unaffordable very quickly. I bought a house with $500 in my account, went into foreclosure very quickly, managed to hang on because of a tweet asking people to retweet that Citibank wasn't refinancing anyone, even if they could. I started my own company here, thanks to a lot of people here, a lot of advice. And I've managed to eke out a living here. I can't say that about most of my friends. I always say I've had 2 or 3 housewarming parties in the last like 20 years. My mom and dad, who are broke, hippie, Buddhists, they and most of us really couldn't make it here if they came here today as young parents. I'm horrified by the direction of Boulder in many ways, and I think that's why I'm running. Homelessness, we need to come together on these issues and do tough things. I'm also horrified by yes, no paddles on these tough issues.
How's it going? My name's Justin Calvin. Most people just know me as Calvin. I'm going to stand here because I'm short. I manage the Sundown Saloon on Pearl Street, so I'm looking to run for city council to be in a less chaotic environment, I suppose. But also, I'm part of a contingent that rents in Boulder, lives in Boulder, works at the street level in Boulder. And I don't see those people represented on city council. And I want to be a voice for those people that clean our streets, that serve our coffees to the affluent in town, and can afford to live in the town that they work in. Thank you.
Ryan Schuhard, you're next.
Hello, my name is Ryan Schuhard, he, him. About 20 years ago, while serving as a Peace Corps volunteer, I became awakened to the climate crisis and determined to focus my career on it, and I have been following the path since. Today, I run a small consulting firm that helps to increase more mobility options for transportation while building climate resilience. I'm excited about running for Boulder Council because I want to make 3 big changes. 1, to make it wonderful to live in Boulder without a car. That means doubling down on the new system of protected bikeways to connect the core arterial network, something I've helped to get started as a Transportation Advisory Board member. It also means dramatically expanding transit. The second thing is to accelerate and deepen the work of climate action in the day-to-day business of City Council. Third, make Boulder a place that attracts families, that keeps them here, helps them to thrive. These things will not happen on their own, and I'm here because I want to make sure that voters have a choice for people that are going to fight for them.
And last but not least, Silas Aikens.
Hi there, my name is Silas Atkins, he, him, they, them. I have been in Boulder since 2016 and have been lucky enough to be living around my family and so been able to stay here all this time. I live here with my 2 children who are in high school and middle school. I work at my youngest middle school as a paraeducator, and as a paraeducator, I'm now very much aware of what it costs to live here, what it takes to be in Boulder, and I want to make that better. I am here to meet the needs of people that are living in Boulder that historically have not been able to have a voice on council. There's a lot of good points that Nicole made that I heard earlier about that, and several other people. I lost track of how many good points were made around that on this panel, and really want to make sure that we have a sense of community here that brings us all together. I really want to make sure that we can look at housing, transportation, the environment, especially since all of those things are tied together and help each other out. I look forward to talking to people and hearing what they need and making it happen. Thanks so much.
All right, that was the easy part. Thank you, candidates. All right, now. Are we, technical issues? Okay. Oh.
Supposed to be, don't see me.
Okay. All right, candidates, I'm going to talk to you, and then I'm going to talk to y'all. Rules of the game. We're going to have two different types of questions. First are going to be short answer. You're going to have 60 seconds to answer those. When the bell rings, you need to stop talking. We're going to heckle you if you don't. Mayors, you get to answer all three questions. All three of you get to answer all three. City council members, you're not going to get to answer all of them. We'll call who gets to answer which. After short answer, we'll go to lightning round and we'll flip back and forth. Lightning round. It's what Waylon dreads. This is when you do have to choose yes, no. We get that these are complex issues, but we want to get a sense of generally where you're at. So we don't want to see this or this. Okay, now audience, let's practice. The bell has rung, it's been 60 seconds, and I just won't stop talking. I won't stop talking. Woo! Okay, short answer. Someone's like, doing this. Give us an answer. Okay, good. All right, you're ready. You're ready. Are you guys ready?
Oh, sorry, my bad. Thank you.
Okay.
It's a carbon reduction.
Mayor question 1. This is the first time Boulder will be electing its mayor. What do you want to accomplish in the role of mayor that you could not accomplish as a city council member? We're going to go Nicole, Aaron, Bob.
Such a great question. Thank you. Thanks for challenging us too. So for me, the role of mayor is really relatively straightforward. You are kind of the person who facilitates the meetings. You are the person who speaks on behalf of the city at times. And I think your hand gets really tired of signing out the declarations. But the thing that I'm really looking for is for someone who has a lot of experience in inclusive leadership and really knows what it's like to bring forward other candidates, new leaders, people who have different perspectives, and create a culture on council and in our broader city where people are welcomed, where we foster a sense of community. Those are some of the things that I've done my whole life, and I'm really hoping that I can do more of that as mayor. I think it makes the city work more efficiently, and we really need to be doing that and making sure that we are moving forward as quickly as possible to address all of our big goals.
Well, so the powers of the mayor aren't changing, so it's about how we're electing them that's different. So I'll tell you what I have been doing and will continue to do, which is you are the face of the city within town and outside of the town, right? And your presence shows a level of dedication from the city government and from yourself personally to the causes that you care about and the community cares about. So I get invitations all the time to go to school groups, college groups, nonprofit organizations, fundraisers, etc. And if my calendar is free, I say yes, and I'm at every single one of those. And I tell you that going to a school group and saying, hey, the mayor of Boulder is here, Aaron Brockett, people get excited, and it makes a difference to them to see that you're supporting them in the community. One thing I'll mention that's very important to me is to represent with the Spanish-speaking community in our town. So I spent the last year studying Spanish every day and taking classes every week so that I can go into Spanish-speaking environments and speak in their own language. And I think that's been incredibly powerful, and I bring that same kind of dedication to all the other spaces I go in as well. Thank you.
I'll give you 3 E's that the next mayor can do. 1, engagement. The city doesn't do a very good job, I don't think, at engagement. Oftentimes we have people show up at council meetings and they don't know what we're even going to handle that night. And we need to do a better job of giving people advance warning about what we're going to do. Number 2, efficiency. I've been on, this is my 4th 2-year cycle. Invariably what happens, we get 3/4 of the way through our 2-year cycle and we say, shit, we're not going to get our work plan done. And that's what we just did. We're not going to get our work plan done this year. So I think we need to be more efficient and more tight in how we run our meetings and schedule our meetings. Finally, 30, energy. A good mayor brings people together. We have a diversity on this council, and that's a great thing. But sometimes that diversity results in separation and discord. And I think the responsibility of the mayor is to bring people together so that when we show up at the council meeting on a Thursday night, we are together, we're focused, we're helpful to each other. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you guys for that. Question 2 for our mayors. Research has shown that encampment sweeps make it harder for people to become housed, and that sweeps have not reduced the number of people living in public spaces in Boulder. The city has spent millions of dollars on sweeps. Should the city continue this policy? Why or why not? We're going to go Aaron, Bob, Nicole.
So this is the most difficult issue that we deal with at a city level, I will say. The needs of the people experiencing homelessness are so great. And so I feel it's critically important that we do everything that we can to help people who are out on the streets and get them connected to services and get them into housing. So the top priority has to add more housing, more in-between opportunities like sanctioned encampment, a safe outdoor space, safe parking sites, and other alternatives, tiny home villages and things like that. But I will say, and this is an incredibly hard decision, is that in the interim, if people set up tents in the middle of a public park or in the middle of a sidewalk, that's something where those spaces need to be available to everyone. So I do think it is important to say, okay, you can't be here, but we need to find the right place for you. So we have a huge new income stream coming in from Proposition 123 at the state level. We need to leverage those funds. Much of them are dedicated for homelessness, and specifically is to get people off the streets and get them into safe housing opportunities. Thank you.
You know, when people are camping, I think it's unfair to the camper, and I think it's unfair to the rest of the community. The camper is in a very bad environment. They're in the element, they're unsafe, insecure. And so I think I'm very excited about 3 or 4 things we're about to do here. One, we're about to open a day shelter. I'm so excited about that. Right now, our shelter kicks people out at night, in the morning, and takes them in at night, and they have nowhere to go for 12 or 14 hours a day. Super important to give people a place to live. Secondly, we're going to put a team on the street, a mental health team, no cops affiliated with them, purely mental health, to help people who have mental health problems, who are becoming a little unhinged, who need some assistance. Third, we have to continue our permanent supportive housing so that when people get to the shelter, that's only a temporary place. They find a place to live and they get that wraparound services, that assistance that they need so they can be stabilized in our community. Last year, we had 339 exits from homelessness. That's not enough. Thank you.
Another fabulous question. So I'm a scientist, I'm evidence-based. I look at the evidence. Encampment sweeps really just move people around. They don't improve the issue of homelessness. And you can see that, right? We've been spending more and more time and money on encampment sweeps over the last few years. And anybody think that it's getting better? It's probably not going to, either, with housing prices continuing to go up. It's the #1 driver of homelessness. So when I look at our budget for next year, I see that we are starting to talk about spending about $4 million on encampment cleanup next year. We are going to spend about $2.5 million combined on a mental health first responder program and the day services center. So $1.5 additional million going to encampment sweeps, which we know from research and we know from experiencing it in our own community are not working. So I would really love to see us invest instead in some of the solutions that our city has already looked at through boards and commissions, like tiny homes, like safe parking. Those are the things that get people out of homelessness.
All right, final question for our mayors. People from across the political spectrum have expressed frustration about the pace at which the city is addressing critical issues. These delays negatively impact real people in our community. As mayor, what specific strategies will you use to get important work done faster? Bob, Nicole, Aaron.
Yeah, that's a great question. I kind of alluded to that in one of my answers previously. I think we have a tremendous inefficiency in how the city government's run, and that includes city council. One of the jobs of the mayor is to sit on what's called the council agenda committee. It meets every Monday morning. It plans the agenda for the next 2 or 3 weeks. Sometimes we don't plan those agendas very well. We put too much in one meeting, too little in another, and when we have too little, we go out for drinks, which is actually okay, but it's not very efficient. So we need to look at ways that we can balance the load here. The second is we have to be more efficient in making sure that we work through our work plan. We can't just go 3/4 of the way through our work plan and say, crap, we didn't get everything done. We need to be looking at it every single step of the way. And we need to hold staff accountable. Sometimes staff doesn't want to do what council wants us to do. They kind of put it in their pocket and they kind of forget about it, right? That's not acceptable. We need to hold staff accountable. We said the community wanted this, council wanted this, we're going to do it. Thank you.
Thank you. 3 for 3. So I agree. I mean, I think a lot of the work that's done is often behind the scenes. It's the conversations that people are having, learning about different perspectives and helping facilitate the meetings so that when we get to meetings, you have an understanding of where folks are, where they sit, how discussions are going to go so that we can move a little bit faster, be a little bit more audacious in the goals that we set for ourselves. There is also a partnership that really needs to happen between staff and the community as well. And I think it's council's job to really try to facilitate that relationship and to understand where are the delays? What is slowing things down? How can we try to get better at moving things forward faster? Also setting goals for council that are realistic, given staff constraints, given financial constraints, which we'll hear much more about, I'm sorry, in the next 4 months or so. But it really is going to be important. We're going to have some tough decisions to make as a community moving forward, and I think having somebody in charge is good.
Well, I have a great deal of frustration about this as well. I will say you haven't seen nothing yet. The next 6 months, we have all kinds of great stuff teed up about occupancy reform, rezonings. We've got new social services, the day center coming online. This council, raise your hand if you're on this council, we're getting stuff done in the next few months. So this is happening, so this is exciting. But we also need to empower ourselves as councilors sometimes to say, look, here's a simple idea, and we should take this step now. And so if we resolve amongst ourselves to do this, we did this with the hygiene tax. We eliminated sales taxes on diapers and menstrual products. We did it in about a month. Sometimes when things are simple enough, we should be willing to just go for it. And credit to Rachel Friend for bringing that forward on that timeline. So I think it's about a collaboration with staff, a willingness to be bold as council, try to cut through the red tape. We did just recently empower the planning department to say, look, if you see a roadblock that's slowing down your work, let us know, bring it back to us. We can pass an ordinance to make it easier. City councils in the past have always tried to slow things down. We are and can do better. Thank you.
All right, great job, mayors. Your short answer's over, but you do have to participate in the lightning round, which is starting now. Get your paddles ready. Green means yes, red means no. Okay, Waylon, you gotta do this. Would you have a prairie dog as a pet?
Say what?
A prairie dog as a pet.
Would I have one?
Okay, everyone wants to avoid the plague except for Aaron. Ready? Okay, that was just a warm up. Do you rent your home? Ryan and Silas, can you hear us?
Raise your paddles higher so the people in the back can see. Okay, thank you.
Can you say it loud? It's
What is it?
Okay.
Put them here.
Do you rent your home? Okay, there we go. Awesome. Okay. Have you lived in a multifamily home in the last decade? Ryan's thinking.
Oh, wait, can I change my mind?
Oh, no.
If it's true, yeah, okay. All right. Do you have any association with CU, such as being a current or former student, alumni, or employee? Or consultant, sure.
How about I live on the hill?
A contractual relationship.
I hang out with students, okay.
No.
Good. I'm just trying to let them hear. Yep. Okay. Ready? Do you support a city tax or fee to increase public transit frequency and services? Do you think that Boulder does enough to support immigrants and non-English language speakers? Okay, that's the board. Got consensus. Do you support a tax increase to better fund the arts in Boulder?
Can't wait just tell you why.
But you don't get to. Do you support gender affirming care for minors? Awesome. Thank you. Okay, ready? Are encampment sweeps an effective use of resources to address homelessness? Okay. All right. Thank you guys. You made it through your first lightning round. All right. We're moving to city council. This is short answer, 60 seconds. In 2023 alone, there have been stories in the news highlighting how the city made Voodoo Donuts paint their pretty pink building gray. Small business owners had to wait over 400 days for a permit. A local eatery had to permanently close their doors due to long permit times. And several restaurants are complaining that the city's outdoor dining program is too onerous. How would you address these basic failures of government? The lucky winners are Tara Weiner!
First of all, I had one job to say my name in my opening speech, and I didn't do it. Okay, so I'm Tara, as you know. First of all, Boulder needs to be more fun. That is absolutely true, and we should have pink buildings. What in the world? Why is everything gray here? That's my first question. Although I do like the color gray. What was the second question?
How would you address these basic failures of government?
Well, a lot of you might know that the planning department was decimated during COVID in terms of labor. So we have a labor shortage. And so what we need to do is get more people to work in the planning department. However, housing is too expensive. So that is becoming really difficult. So we have to address housing for people who live in the city. I have some ideas about that. Maybe I'll get to share them later. But it is one of our biggest problems. If you think it's easy to fix, it is not. And we basically sit on council and just beg them to hurry up. We beg them. And I hope there's a better idea than that, than begging, but that's my go-to.
Okay, great. And thank you. Thank you. All right, and our next respondent is Justin Calvin, goes by Calvin.
All right, how do you solve that? Well, Tara alluded to something very important. You've got to make housing affordable. And the more people we can have living in this town, caring about this town, I think the easier it'll be to get some of these balls rolling and staff properly to move things along in this field. I'm definitely pro small business, and over the last 10 years that I've lived here, Boulder has definitely seen a decrease in that and an increase in national companies taking over some of these great spots in our downtown and other city centers. So I think everything starts with affordable housing, and again, we can keep begging city council to do more and at least nudge people in the right direction.
All right. As someone who loves housing, I love that the both answers to painting buildings gray from pink was housing. It's really true. Okay, here we go. Question 2. The transportation sector is a significant contributor to carbon emissions. What policies or projects would you advocate for and prioritize to reduce reliance on cars? Aaron Nyer.
Cool. Yeah, I think first off, I'm very critical of cars. I think it's great that we have them. I don't want to get rid of them, but I think we need better alternatives. I think we need to have better bike lanes, better walking, better public transit. I think we can actually build relationships with some of the technology companies who are actually, I know some might shy away from autonomous vehicles, but I think there's potential for doing it in a way that we can amplify what our public transit system is and make it more accessible and inclusive. And so I think that's going to be the key, is working with within what our city government is doing with the public transit system and working with technology companies who want to bring things for good to make it easier to get around without a car, even in the winter months when biking and walking is not as possible. So that would be my answer.
We got it done there. All right, Ryan Schuhard.
Okay, so the answer to this is resoundingly clear in the science from IPCC on down to scholars like Dr. Kevin Kryzik at CU, who's got this great book out. He said he was going to be in the audience. He should raise his hand. Hopefully he brought a copy. And also transportation professional planners. So first, we have to make our streets safe and inviting for people to walk, bike, and roll outside of vehicles. There's a lot there, but that's the first one. Second, we need to build up public transportation so that people can take 15-minute buses every quarter of a mile or something thereabouts within the city, from their city to the other places they need to go. And between those two things, you more or less have a backbone system of alternatives to a more diverse transportation mode. And third, and this is where Boulder needs to do the most work, is to create more compact, space-efficient use of our land so that people can live near where they want to go. Our climate team has pointed this out to some extent in the latest climate action plan, and we need to make it happen. It's time.
Ooh, judging by applause. Okay, question 3. What is one group that you would consider underrepresented in Boulder City Council decisions, and what would you do to lift their voices? Silas, we'll start with you.
Thank you. I think that the population that's the most underrepresented right now is our unhoused population. Folks that are experiencing that the hardest time accessing services. There's too many barriers in place for that we need to make simpler, and processes that we need to simplify to make it so that people feel that they're being listened to, can get what they need. My biggest part of wanting to be on council is to meet people's needs, and especially to meet those needs where they're at. Not to ask the people have to get to a certain place before their needs are met, but where they are right now, that's where they are able to get their needs met and where they need their needs met. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Jennifer Robbins.
Oh, thank you. I'm going to come down here though. Okay, I'm really glad I got this question, although I have really good stuff for small business. But I wanted to say, I think that there's many vulnerable populations in our community, but today I want to focus on our youth. I think around the ages of 12 to 18, kids really are left behind. They age out of a lot of city programs, and there's a lot of really limited opportunities. As an example, I've led over 20 girls for the last 6 years in 2 Girl Scout troops. And when I started, I thought they would be into gossip and crafts and fun things like that. And it turned out they were really hungry for community activism. At their request, we've donated goods and services to dozens of community organizations. They've implemented community environmental programs and presented in front of town boards. These type of youth opportunities should not be volunteer-based. The city needs to help provide this type of support for our youth. And compounded upon everyday stresses, kids have suffered since COVID to a degree I don't think that we have even begun to see. The isolation is real. We need to advocate for kids and provide them more safe spaces, leadership opportunities, and mental health services.
All right, last but certainly not least, environmental justice is a crucial aspect of climate action. How would you ensure that climate initiatives are equitable and benefit all members of the community, especially those disproportionately affected by environmental issues? Taisha Adams.
Thank you so much. I am the founder and CEO of the Makuyu Collective, which is a company that is at the intersection of environment and education. And when I think about environmental justice, I'm actively working on these issues all across the country. And I'm excited to not only lift this conversation up, but also the larger climate conversation. I'm excited about the investments on the climate tax and passage this fall that will see an increase in access to advisors on how we can be more efficient, opportunities on wildfire mitigation, which is also going to be absolutely critical. Obviously, we have water quality issues. I was devastated when I learned that here in the city of Boulder, we have water quality issues. We have areas that is unsafe to drink our water. These are the kinds of things that we want to focus on and build on the successes of the voters who have agreed to this climate tax, ensure, again, through accountability and transparency, and come to us, go to you. Thank you.
Thank you. It's true. Orchard Grove, don't drink the water. There seems to be something ailing everyone. Waylon Lewis.
Felt like you were serenading me there. I think there's some intense issues, I'm pretty sure. I heard from the good folks on Nextdoor about that the other day. In Boulder that are taking up a lot of the oxygen, and they're important issues, and they are issues that many people here have acknowledged we can only solve if we actually come together. Lost in the heat, no pun intended, is, to me, the elephant in the room, no pun intended, which is climate crisis. Marshall fires, if we want to get specific, toxic smoke that prevents us from going to Tiaco or any lovely patio in Boulder, to be specific. It's coming from the most vulnerable among our community first and hardest, and it will be unrelenting. And meanwhile, I would say 90% of my friends, probably the same for you, even if we consider ourselves environmental, I only ride a bike, haven't had a car in many years, are not really taking action, whether it's plastic or climate crisis or activism. Wow, I really should have looked at those signs.
You did great, Rookie. You guys made it through your first short answer round. You all did great. Thank you so much. And now it's lightning round 2. Ready? Get your paddles. Okay. Do you believe in aliens? Oh my God, I love this diversity. Do you support closing West Pearl and other streets to cars? Good job, audience. Good job. Council members currently serving make around $10,000 a year. Do you support paying city council members a living wage? Do you think the police budget is too high? Okay. Do you sing in the shower? Because you can't, or you just don't like to sing? No. Okay. The city of Boulder currently mandates a certain amount of parking for housing developments. Do you support eliminating those parking requirements?
Totally eliminate.
Yeah.
The statewide minimum wage is $13.65 an hour, but some cities have higher minimums. Denver has a minimum wage of $17.29. Do you support a minimum wage for Boulder at least $17.29? It's unanimous. Do you support allowing 4-plex housing in all neighborhoods in Boulder?
How about 2-plex?
Y'all are crushing it. Do you think the police oversight panel should have more authority in disciplining police officers? All right. Whew. Good job, guys. Paddles down. All right, more short answer for our city council candidates. What role should the police oversight panel play in the city of Boulder? Jennifer Robbins.
I don't have any good notes for this, but I will say that I think that the police oversight panel is necessary. I think that the original police oversight panel was created very quickly. And I think that the moratorium that they voted on for now gives the panel the opportunity to recreate itself to more benefit both the city and the police who need to work together in order to create a safe community for Boulder.
Thank you so much. And Taisha Adams.
Oh, yes. All right. As an inaugural member of the Boulder Police Oversight Panel who helped to create the bylaws in collaboration with some incredible members of this community, I can say and stand behind, very excited at our starting point. We also, in our annual reports, included recommendations on how we can strengthen those ordinances, which are absolutely critical. We've not, in the policy recommendations in particular, there's a lot that we don't have authority over, or the former we, see, we the people, it's still, that we don't have authority over. But there's another issue here that we also need to address, and that is arbitration. The chief votes in favor of our recommendations almost 96 to 98% of the time. And the times they don't, the pattern is we're recommending termination. We asked her, why everything and not this? And she said in a public meeting that unfortunately isn't reported, that there's a different set of rules that she's using. The arbitrator rules. We need the arbitrator rules.
These are good questions. These questions came from you, audience. Thank you for these questions. All right. How would you describe the connections between racial justice and housing access and affordability? Waylon Lewis.
We, my kind, do love to talk on issues we really don't know much about. Boulder is wildly unaffordable. It's pushing people out every single year, and it's also keeping a lot of people out. This obviously connected with 1,000 different issues like transportation and historic injustice that continues today. Addressing affordability along with climate and other issues is one way we can rectify some of our historic, injustices. I mean, Boulder has a very troubled history, to put it very politely. And I think our history is alive and not well today. Was there something I missed in there? Sorry, with my extra 5 seconds.
The connection between racial justice and housing access and affordability.
I mean, I'm all for building density, ADUs. We did them in Mapleton where I lived when I was a kid, and the world didn't fall apart.
All right, and ding ding to Tara Weiner.
Can you repeat the question? Just kidding. No, actually, I'm not kidding. Just repeat.
How would you describe the connection between racial justice and housing access and affordability?
So I grew up in the not nice part of Brooklyn where we were connected all to each other on the top and the bottom and side by side. So it's very dense. And across the street was this garbage lot, and that's where we played. So we played there, and we had the projects next to us. So I did get to see a lot of, growing up that wasn't great. And then, but I did grow up knowing all people of all races, and that was the best part. So then I moved to West Philly, where I had my children grow up in a neighborhood that was black and white, that was BIPOC, that was all different types of people. To me, To me, income and racial diversity is crucial for a city to be a city where we all want to live. It's one of the most important things to me. And of course, housing accessibility goes right hand in hand with that, which is why I definitely want to increase our housing options in a big way.
Thank you. All right. What would you do to make Boulder a more welcoming place to the trans and queer community?
Me, I'm queer. She's queer.
Justin Calvin.
Well, I think it just starts with talking to people and being welcoming to people. And the bar that I manage is a very welcoming place, and we have people of all backgrounds, all beginnings coming down there. Everybody likes cheap beer, and we're all the same underground, whether we're alive or dead. Also, I think it goes without saying that we all want that building to be pink. It shouldn't be gray. I think Boulder does a lot to make people in this community feel welcome, but there's always more we can do, and part of that is just saying loud that you do support those people, saying loud that you're there for those people, and we can do that more as a community, as businesses, as a city.
Thank you, Calvin. Aaron Nyer.
Yeah, as a queer person, I think it starts with moving beyond just accepting our differences, but actively celebrating our differences. We've been so conditioned into this monocultured idea, so we're like, cool, I accept you as you are, but we have to go beyond that. We have to actually counteract the deep conditioning we've had to try and conform people into a certain box and actively celebrate the beautiful, unique diversity that we all have. So I think that's it. And I think that means taking an active part in what culture we're creating in Boulder and actively in our relationships, celebrating each other, celebrating our diversity. But it also means creating really inclusive spaces in Boulder where that culture is fostered. So it starts with each one of us and how we're participating in our culture, and starts with us as a city creating spaces where that culture can actually be fostered. Thanks.
All right, everyone's doing so well with the time limit. I wanted more heckling. Okay, final short answer. Boulder Valley School District is experiencing declining enrollment, and there are fewer families living in the city of Boulder. What would you do to turn this trend around? Both of our virtual. We'll start with Ryan.
Sorry, thanks. This is a good question that I am talking to people about and trying to figure out, and it's one of the things that's motivating me. Oh, sorry, I'm going to start my timer, and I might be taking you up on getting heckled. Okay, timer start. So young families, I missed this on my bio. I have two small girls, 5 and 7. They made my paddle. I mostly get around Boulder on a bike. Anyway, young families are pipeline, kids are pipeline into Boulder. And for a place that has a reputation conventionally as being a great place to live, Boulder, we should be asking very hard questions about why is enrollment declining? And it is moving eastward. Not just BVSD, but our preschool. Our preschools are in crisis. They're closing down. The ones that are staying open have waiting lists. We can't keep teachers. And this is causing even more families to leave before they even try BVSD. So it seems pretty clear that housing, but more generally, the cost of living, the problem for families that are in the middle income. Again, start with housing, but it's also childcare. I don't know how many people have kids here, but the cost of childcare, especially before you're in elementary school, is incredible. And we just have a crisis of cost of living. There's more to it as well, I think, as far as making streets safe for kids. But in any case, I'm going to tell you, I do not know the full answer, and I am determined to find it out and come to the 2-year work plan in December with some ideas. Not there.
All right, and Silas.
All right. I got my timer started as well. We'll see what the heckling. I am going to come back to this, and you'll be tired of me saying it. People's needs are being met in places like Erie, where they are already needing to build a second elementary school because the first one's not going to last for the next 5 years the way it was supposed to. Part of that is a lot of what Ryan touched on. We need better ways to get around, and we need more affordable housing so people can live here and get to these schools. I worked at Manhattan Middle School as a paraeducator, and the amount of cars in that parking lot, people coming across town to get there because they want to be at that school, but can't necessarily afford possibly to live there or find a place close to there and have no other ways to get their kids there except to drive them in their cars and then sit idling in the parking lot to get them there. We need to address all of these things to make sure that people can live here in Boulder and be part of our community. Thank you.
All right, great job, candidates. That concludes our short answer section for City Council. Woo, good job. But we've got a final lightning round. Grab your paddles. Ready? 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 No?
Oh my God. I got it.
Okay. Is Boulder full? I was gonna double down if someone said yes. T support zero population growth, one child policy. Okay. Currently, the city tickets people for sleeping outdoors, even when there are no shelter beds or legal camping available. Do you support this policy?
Wait, can I ask about that one?
Answer the question. Do you support rent stabilization that would limit annual increases in rent? You know, it's a state policy. Unanimous. Do you support creating a designated camping site for people experiencing homelessness in Boulder? Okay. Do you support eliminating occupancy limits based on familial or relationship status? Do you support eliminating occupancy limits based on familial or relationship status? Right now, as many people as want to can live in a home if they're related by blood or married. I don't know how that works, but if you're a chosen family, you can only be 3 unrelated people or 4 in certain areas. So it's correcting that disparity.
Are you saying do we want to eliminate occupancy?
No. Limits based on unrelated.
Based on familial status, which effectively, yes. Okay, it's essentially, do you support eliminating the occupancy limits? But right now, we don't have occupancy limits for families, okay? So, okay? Interesting fact I learned in my research, in 1955, our code allowed for 6 unrelated people to live in a home in Boulder. We have gone down since then, people. Okay, we're more conservative than 1955. Okay, do you support the state legislature mandating that cities implement housing policies to address the housing crisis? We're talking about HB 213. Waylon, pick a side. Okay. Ooh, it's a long one. Ready? The Trump presidency signaled a change in the priorities and policies of the Republican Party that has had a ripple effect throughout American politics. The next 4 questions will center around how that election affected you and how, if at all, it changed your relationship to politics and political organizations. Since Trump took office in January 2017, Have you at any point been a member of the ACLU or NAACP? Since 2017? Okay. Okay, since 2017, have you at any point been registered as a Democrat? Okay, since 2017, have you at any point been a member of the NRA or Moms for Liberty? Unanimous! Since 2017, when Trump took office, have you at any point been registered as a Republican? Okay. Have you ever been to a screening of the Rocky Horror Picture Show? And finally, to put you all out of your misery, do you regret participating in the Raucous Caucus? All right, you guys, thank you so much. But there's a little bit more. We're going to give you a chance to have the last word, give some outros. Again, 60 seconds each. We'll start with our mayors. You can give a closing statement. You can expand on a topic tonight. Tara, this is your chance to explain all the things you wanted to explain earlier. We'll start with our mayors. We'll go the opposite of how we did before.
Thank you. As your mayor, I'll continue to work for a future where all families can afford to put food on their table and keep a roof over their heads, and where our kids are safe from gun violence, sexual assault, discrimination, cars, and poverty. And I'll continue to advocate for all of us to be included in conversations and decision-making. As I'm working to create space for all of us, I'll make it a priority to recruit and mentor our next generation of leaders. I'll build a culture on our council where women, young people, queer and trans people, people of color, and anyone who thinks beyond the status quo is safe and included. Because the sign of a good leader is not how long they've been in a position of power. It's how many different people they make room for along the way. I'm committed to bringing together all the voices we need to find real solutions to our complex problems, and that will be one of my defining characteristics as mayor. Thank you so much for being here.
108 days. So much time we have until the next election, and we're going to have lots and lots of these forums. Thank you for the forum organizers for putting this together. We're going to have lots of forums over the next 108 days. That will give you the opportunity to evaluate the candidates, both for council and for mayor. I've had the great privilege of serving alongside of Nicole for the last 2 years on city council, and Aaron for the last 8 years on city council. They're wonderful people. Each one of them would make a great mayor. You're going to make decisions over the next 108 days between the three of us as to who you think should be Boulder's next mayor. It will be based on a lot of factors: substance, style, experience, leadership. I urge you to listen to the three of us over the next 108 days. Go to our website, mine is bobyatesboulder.com. See what we say, see what we believe, see who's backing us, and make the best decisions, because that's the beauty of democracy, is you get to choose. Thank you.
All right, thanks so much everyone for being with here tonight. Thanks to the organizers for making this happen. We have big problems in our community and our society that we cannot shy away from. We have to work on affordable housing. We have to work on the climate crisis. We have to protect the marginalized people in our community, like the LGBTQ+ folks, BIPOC folks, and other marginalized communities. I have not been afraid to exhibit bold leadership in this role. I was the sole mayor in the state of Colorado to support the governor's land use bill this year. And just last week, I put forward the moratorium on for the police oversight panel to give them them the space they need to do the work on revising that process, which has been broken. But fundamentally, I will collaborate as one of 9, as a first among equals, with my council colleagues and with every single member of our community to find a path forward on the critical problems that face us and that we must make progress on. So if you will vote for me this fall, I will do that work for you each and every day. Thank you so much.
All right, in city council, we'll go opposite before. So Silas, Brian, and then we'll come down the line.
All right, thank you very much. I'm really glad I had a chance to participate in this. Thank you, everybody who made this happen. There's a lot of work that went into it, so I appreciate that very much. Real quick, want to just mention there was 2 lightning interests that I answered no on that around getting taxes to get things going. I answered no on those because I don't think we should have individual fees and taxes for things. Instead, we should share that load across people in an equitable way. As someone who makes very little money at my job, I don't have the ability to contribute to those things necessarily as much as others do. And then lastly, just talking about what I want to do. Again, I want to listen to people. I want to meet basic needs. I'm not here to push my own ideas. I'm here to listen to those out there that need to be listened to and provide a voice for them on council. Thank you very much.
Good to me?
Go for it.
Okay, thanks. Just for knowledge, I'm out of the country with my family on an unusual trip, so I am excited about big investments and inclusive, optimistic future. And because I want to share what I know. I'll close with this. Short path, big leaps in Boulder, city council legislating them. This mostly happens in a flash. It's the first thing city council does after elections when it creates a 2-year plan. This is the main way that city council is authorized to really direct our city administration. To illustrate, one item on our current work plan is the core arterial network, our system of bikeways that I talked about. This is a concrete major project rolling out that has transformed, among other things, the way that we pursue and use funding. It only exists because it's in work plan. And it's in the work plan because a couple of visionary councils worked it intensely during a week or so around the December holidays, and then they fought for it. So if you, as a resident, want to see transformative changes, you want counselors who are coming to legislate on the first week and then have a plan. Thanks for your time, and thank you immensely to the volunteers for your crucial work on elections. See you back in Boulder.
All right, as I alluded to in my opening, I don't feel represented on city council as somebody that works at a low-level job, as somebody that rents in Boulder, as, you know, a straight white male, though. I've got to be able to say that there are people that are less represented than me. And if I can at least be a voice for those people that I interact with every day at my job, with them, alongside them, that would be great. Luckily, I'm in a position right now where I can take a few steps towards being more involved in the city that I've grown to love over the past 10 years. So that's my goal to run for city council.
So a question I think all of us are getting is, why would you want to run for city council? And to quote Jill Grano, I'm not sure if you know her, my response usually is like, why would you assume I would want to run for city council? This is a somewhat thankless job where any group of people on any given week is mad at you, including your own friends. It obviously doesn't pay much, and it's a ton of time. You have to take it seriously. But the obvious answer is I care. I think many of us, all of us in this room, came out to the Elks Lodge, not just for the ambiance and the elk heads, but because we care, and it's frustrating. The last 10, 15 years have been particularly frustrating. I think since Macon left, things have fallen apart. You know, we can attack this stuff. I was a little ambivalent on the one yes, no, and got booze. The litmus test approach is so frustrating. I support everything in Jared Polis's bill, and I think it's shameful we haven't done it here. Do I think the state should be putting us on that? I'm not sure. What I am sure about is I want to meet with everyone who knows more than me, which is everyone. So. Am I out of time? Do I have more time?
Okay. I just wanted to thank everybody for coming tonight and the organizers. Actively participating in our political process, regardless of your political ideologies or your stances, is hugely important to make a successful community and to push community forward. So I just wanted to thank everybody for coming tonight. As a council person, I think it's important to reach out to everyone that you can and include all stakeholders in talking about all of the processes and the big decisions that we make. I come from the perspective that everyone has something valuable to contribute to conversations. I would pledge to work with everyone and find realistic solutions. My opinions may not always align with yours. I might not say what you want to hear, but engagement and listening is important, and these are the same values that I teach my kids. I think any elected official owes that to the residents when making big decisions. In general, I believe in collaboration between Boulder, CU, BVSD, Boulder County, and all the other cities that we have around us. Coordinated efforts and partnerships are key. Family's important. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Freedom is fought and won with every generation, so saith Coretta. It is our time, it is our turn. We are on an intergenerational journey together. A vote for me is working collaboratively with all of you. Rolling with the punches. Right? Laughing, crying, learning, healing with each other. It's not, policies don't do work. People do work. It is our relationships that we need to work on the most, right? And so in this 108 days, I invite you to come and talk to me, or rather, let me know where I can come and talk to you. I'm a come to you kind of gal. You don't just come to me and my fancy websites. Our Boulder City Council's got all this stuff. There's a lot of noise. Let's go heart to heart. Thank you.
It is my firm belief that progressives have some of the best ideas in this community and put on the best parties. And no, I'm not pandering for votes. Okay, I'm not pandering for votes. It's my job to balance the needs of everyone in the community, which is not an easy task because they sometimes conflict with each other. However, that being said, I committed to listening to every single person in this room, to every one of you, your ideas, your needs, your wants, your beliefs, of what you want for the future. I will always consider those ideas. If you go to my website, taraforboulder.com, and see what some of the people I work with in the city, county, and state say about me. There's one in this room right now who's also short. I'm not going to give out that name. Tara listens and works to bring forth solutions no matter who suggests them. Here's my phone number, 303-912-5960. I will tell you if you call me why I voted the way I did, should you disagree with me, but more importantly, I want to hear from you. I love spending time with each one of you, and when I listen to you, it gives me new perspectives. You know that's the truth. Thank you.
Cool. Well, thank you all for being here. This has been an amazing learning opportunity. I'm really grateful to be up here with all of you. I've learned so much. I'm gonna push back a little bit on what you said, Waylon, which is I think you're right. It can be a thankless job. And I think there's something to doing something for joy. And I think I actually do want to be elected to city council. I do want to run. And I think it's because I really enjoy helping. I really enjoy relating with people. I really enjoy participating and contributing and making a difference. And so I'm excited to be a part of this. I'm excited to listen and hear a lot and learn a lot. I know there's so much I still have to learn about what's happening in Boulder and what are the issues that are affecting people. But I'm really excited to be up here, to be building these relationships with all of you and with all of you. And I'm hoping we can keep dialoguing and keep exploring what it's going to take to really address some of these major issues in Boulder. So thank you so much.
You guys are done. You're done. Thank you so much. Thank you for putting yourselves out there. Thank you for caring. Thank you for wanting to serve. Thank you for your leadership and ideas. Okay, audience, hang on with me one more minute. Jane's gonna come up and give us the results. We got a lot of votes, 96 votes. And then I'm gonna talk one last time, just for a second, and then we'll go.
Okay, look what the RCV fairy delivered to me. Okay, did y'all like trying out RCV, or were you like a census taker once tried to quantify me? Well, 96 of you finished it, so you must have liked it all right. Okay, here are the results. So, if you remember how the video worked, the first round is who voted for your first choice thing. The leading vote getter in round one was allow fourplexes everywhere, which I think might have been a lightning round question. Do you all remember how you answered on that one? Okay, but only 24% of people actually picked that as their first choice. So the ultimate winner is expand unhoused services. So there you go. That's how it played out. And if you didn't get a chance to vote, you can go to rcv123.org and play around with it there. That's everything.
That's awesome. Okay, yeah, check it out so you understand ranked choice voting before you vote for these three. All right, you guys, thank you so much for coming. We want to thank the Elks Clubs. Do you have a question? Okay, sure. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. So, Elks Club, thank you. All of you, thank you. Audience, thank you. Boulder Progressives, thank you for hosting this. Importantly, we've got to pay Elks Club, actually, and we would love a donation. So there are QR codes floating around. You can come up and get one. If you enjoyed the event, please donate to Boulder Progressive by using the QR code on the back of your chair. Thank you again for coming. Mingle, enjoy, heckle these guys.